So another episode followed by another Courtney Kemp Q&A, where she went through all things episode 5 of Power Book 2 Ghost Season 2. So we're going to run through all of the main topics from our Instagram live, mainly focusing on Power Book 2 Ghost as usual, and as a brief overview, she spoke about Ghost's voice not being used for the letter that he left Tariq, Tariq going to jail, Kane's redemption, and Tariq's inner Kanan. But let's get straight into the first topic. Will Kane ever get redemption with the audience like Tariq did?
Will Kane ever get his moment of redemption with the audience like Tariq did? That's really interesting. It's a really interesting question, because Kane has had multiple moments where you guys could trust him and not trust him, but you're going to see him come kind of full circle. Okay.
Now, Kane is a character who really is a wild card. You don't know whether you can trust him and what he's really going to do next. One minute he's working with Tariq, but the next minute we saw him planting Ramirez's badge in his room. But then realizing that Tariq, he's never been the problem. Monet's been the problem all along. But will Kane ever get redemption? I think the only way Kane gets redemption if he really shows that he's family first, and maybe help bring down Mecca and help Tariq. And I think what really could be his major turning point and put him on this redemption path is when he finds out about Mecca's manipulation. But let's talk about Tariq, Ghost, and Tariq's inner Kanan.
Will Tariq realize he's like Ghost, and will he understand why his dad acted the way he did? Well, have you realized you're like your parents? And have you realized that your parents are why you act like you do? Basically, yes. Over time, he will come to it, but it's going to take time. It's not going to be something, it's not going to be something exactly like real easy,
Now, I think with Tariq, he's already started to realize why he's acting like Ghost, because in season 1, he went through this denial phase because of how much he hated his father, but then towards the end of season 1, he's just like him and actually wants to be Ghost. And the moment in the car with Monet in episode 5 was a perfect example of him behaving just like Ghost would, telling Monet that she doesn't have the power that she thinks she has, and she really isn't in control over her kids anymore. They've been running around behind her back and pulling moves and basically making her realize she's lost control over her organization, which is when she starts to question, why am I doing this? Which is why she went back to Mecca to accept his offer. But why was the letter that Tariq read in jail not read in Ghost's voice?
Why Ghost's letter was not read by Ghost. And the way I will answer this is that would have been ideal. But when we were unable to make that happen, I happened to be watching The Prince of Egypt. I know this is a random movie. But, Val Kilmer played Moses in that movie. And when they decided to the God's voice in the burning bush, they actually used Val Kilmer's voice and they put a treatment on it. And the reasoning of the directors was that they felt like when we hear God's voice, it's our voice in a way. They felt that kind of, instinctively inside. So I thought, this is an interesting way of doing it. Like, how else could we do it? Because the other way to do it was in silence. And I thought there was some beauty in having Tariq read it himself. That said, there were a couple questions about whether or not it was an interpretation. It was not an interpretation. There were one or two questions that like people didn't believe Ghost would have written that. This is a tough one as the writer, because if you believe Ghost as a character as I wrote him from the beginning, then you have to kind of believe me when I tell you stuff about him, because I would be the authority on that, right or no? That's also another argument, that Ghost belongs to you guys now. Once we shoot it and we air it, Ghost belongs to the fans. That's another argument. What I would say is that is what Ghost wrote him. Period. And I would also say that Tariq was only supposed to read that in the event he was arrested for murder, not in the event he committed a murder. I want to be really clear about that. Ghost is not saying, I knew you would get arrested.
So going back to 610 and 615, Ghost and Tariq's relationship was really on edge. Ghost wanted him to hand himself in for Ray Ray's murder, and he was basically telling Tariq that one day you're gonna get caught. But when was Ghost ever gonna pay for all the bad shit that he did in his life? That was Tariq's response. But we had Ghost say in season 6, episode 10, don't force my hand, because if we work together, I know you can be the man that I want you to be. And after this conversation with Tariq, Ghost probably knew he's lost Tariq as a son, because of how Tariq told him how much he hates him. Ghost had probably written so many letters for multiple situations with Tariq could find himself in. Ghost knew that Tariq would get caught, which is why he wrote him a letter in case he was ever arrested for homicide. But I really wouldn't be surprised if he's written him a letter for when he graduates, for when he gets married, or when he has kids. So you can say Ghost is still 3 moves ahead of Tariq, even from his grave. At this stage he's ahead of Tariq anyway, so will Tariq ever beat Ghost? Only time will tell. But this letter should definitely be read in Ghost's voice. It's something I said straight away in my review and recap, and it's something I really wish they did. Now, it doesn't take anything away from how great the episode was, but hearing Ghost's voice would really have topped it off. But is there more to the letter than what Tariq read? Initially I thought there was, and Tariq didn't finish reading it because of how pissed off he was, but Courtney Kemp confirmed that there was nothing more to the letter than what Tariq read. But what is Tariq going to be like when he is released from prison?
Stop striving. I think Tariq is going to be way more like Kanan and Ghost after he gets out of jail. You know what? Never stop striving. I'm going to stop here because usually I don't respond to comments like this, but this is so brilliant because this is actually, again, Tariq is Ghost's son, but he was raised by 4 people, right? He was raised by Ghost, Tasha, Tommy, and Kanan. So he isn't just Ghost. He's actually all of these people. And he feels tremendous guilt about what happened between he and Kanan. So I think that you're kind of on a track, which is that Tariq is trying to find a way to be a good person, which is much like his father's story. But the inner Kanan in him is going to be like, nah, my friend.
So the inner Kanan in Tariq, and honestly, it is a very good way of looking at how Tariq will evolve and change as a character. Because you guys know I've spoken about how Tariq will have to unleash his inner Ghost. But at times in his life, he is definitely going to have to unleash his inner Kanan as well in situations. So let me play you this next.
So tell me, why do you feel from a place of like, as the character, like, why do you think Tariq keeps thinking about Kanan?
I feel like because, you know, Kanan is like one of the first people like that, you know, Tariq had a real strong relationship and he actually like loved, you know, other than Sean, like, you know, Kanan was like one of the only people that he really, you know, that he loved and really trusted. And I feel like every time he's in a situation, and like Kanan, like, it's safe he was alive and he would have been there to help him. Like, anytime he's in a situation, he just thinks of Kanan and Kanan pops in and just gives him some input. Like, that's like his little, I want to say angel over his shoulder, but you know what I mean?
So that was Michael Rainey Jr. explaining his relationship with Kanan and why we really could see Tariq unleash his inner Kanan. And who knows, we could see another hallucination scene of Kanan in the second half or while he's in jail, because he's going to have to toughen up and maybe even learn how to fight, which Courtney Kemp also teased. Who could he meet in prison? Maybe Cristobal or Roberto. But who is Tariq mad at the most for being in this situation?
You're sitting in the cell, right? So take yourself back. You're sitting in the cell. You just read the letter from your dad. You don't know. So who are you maddest at right now?
I would say Ghost because, like, damn, homie, like, that's how you feel? Like, you really predict.
I mean, you know you killed him, right? You know you shot him, right?
Yeah, but he wrote that letter before I shot him, though, which is the craziest part. Like, he was really feeling that way for the longest. Like, damn, Ghost. But honestly, I would say Ghost, and then I would say Brayden as well, because, you know, he could have told me, like, you know, they was on campus looking out for us. You know, they ran through our room and all. They could have told me a little something. Even Laura could have told me a little something.
I mean, they all could have told you something. I feel like Brayden just saying, you asked Brayden 1,000 times, has Kane been here? Has he been talking to me? Has he been asking about?
And he's like, nah. I'm like, bro.
And rightly so. Brayden definitely should take a fair share of the blame, because Tariq continued to ask him if Kane had come looking for him. And this is where Brayden really showed his lack of street knowledge, because of how Kane was able to easily manipulate him. And I think Brayden will feel guilty about this, so we're going to see him making it up to Tariq and showing his loyalty. We're going to see Brayden and Effie holding it down, and I think we're going to see Brayden interacting with the Tahadas a lot more in the second half, because Tariq's not there, so we could see him meeting Monet and Lorenzo. But does Monet want Tariq out of jail?
Does Monet get Tariq out of jail? Do you think she wants Tariq out of jail? I'm just asking the question. Like, is that what you guys think? Right now, she doesn't even know he's been arrested. You guys have to wait, so he doesn't really know.
Now, Monet at this point doesn't even know Tariq's been arrested, and how and why he's been arrested. But does she want Tariq in jail? Of course she doesn't. Tariq is the only person she can trust out of all of her kids, and he's the only person keeping her business alive. But this is something I'm going to go through in detail in another video, which is in relation to the question I asked you guys. Would Monet sacrifice Kane to save Tariq? But what about Lauren and The Wire?
When Lauren puts on The Wire, she's being told all of this is to catch Brayden. I don't know if you guys like go back and take a look at it. She is definitely like trying to protect Tariq. She's been told multiple times that this is about protecting Tariq. So, you know, all I can say is she got tricked. She got tricked by Carrie Milgram. But people who are like coming at Paige, again, you know, guys know how I feel about it. It's a fictional show. These are actors and they're doing a great job. And they're doing such a great job that they're really believable. So, you know, Kunle, Kun.le, will Lauren feud with Professor Milgram due to the fact that she manipulated her? Hell yeah. Wait for that.
Now, this is why Carrie has to go. She earned her death in my opinion, because she's continued to stick her nose in this Jabari murder, even when Monet warned her that it's over and it's none of her concern. I think we're going to see Monet killing Carrie in the second half of the season, and I think we're going to see a little redemption for Lauren as well. But moving away from Tariq, why did Lorenzo not tell Monet that he was coming out of prison?
Does Lorenzo, Happy Snacks 856, does Lorenzo not fully trust Monet? He cut the visit short to take the call. That is actually very true. Very, very true. And does he trust Monet? Well, he didn't want Monet to know he was trying to get out. Now, Lorenzo's reason for not wanting Monet to know that is that he said to Diana, I don't want her to get her hopes up. Is that his whole reason? I don't know. I sometimes have come, I've done some sneak attacks in my life. Show up, not say I'm coming. Every so often you need to find out new information. Do you know what I'm saying?
And this is something I mentioned in one of my previous videos. It's pretty clear that Lorenzo doesn't trust Monet, and I don't think Monet tried hard enough to get Lorenzo out of prison either. I think she was happy for him to be there because she could control her family the way she wanted to on the outside, whereas now we're going to see Lorenzo taking back control. But coming back to talking about Cane, why did Cane not tell Mecca about knowing Tariq?
Why did Cane decide not to tell Mecca that he knew Tariq? Well, let's see. Did it seem like that was going to work out for him? Let's ask. It seemed as though lying to Chef, because he lied to Chef in the moment and all those things, it didn't seem like that was going to work out for Cane. Also, if you guys remember, every time anyone does something that Mecca doesn't like, he kind of just kills them. So Cane was just being smart and keeping his kind of powder dry. Okay.
And to add to this, Cane is finally someone who's gained Mecca's trust and this position in his organization. If he told Mecca that another person followed him to his apartment after Lil Guap did in episode 2, it really would have been game over for Cane, just like it was for Nuff. But does Mecca actually believe Cane? I mean, all he had to do was look at the CCTV and he'll see that it was Tariq St. Patrick that was outside his apartment, and he knows what Tariq looks like because he was spying on him, Brayden, and Cane. So maybe Mecca does know, and it was just another chess move by him. And Courtney Kemps also did confirm Cane is Monet's son, but his rap sheet said he's 24 years old, so I think it's a timeline issue again, and we're just gonna have to roll with it. But elsewhere, she touched on how we're gonna see Tariq and Diana really build their relationship in the second half of the season, which we already know, because there's a scene of them in the trailer where we see them getting together. We could also see Paula Matarazzo coming back, who worked with Davis McLean in season 1. She said stay tuned. Now, Mecca only has one kid that we know about so far, which of course is Zeke, and we'll see them meeting later on this season. And Effie is not Mecca's daughter. But just to finish off, I'm just going to leave you guys with Courtney Kemp giving a hint for episode 6.
So a hint for the next episode. Well, let's see where we left everything, right? Okay, where we left everything is Tariq is in jail. He can't trust everybody, so immediately that's going to happen. There's going to be repercussions on campus because he's not there. I can definitely talk about that. The next thing that I definitely feel like is important to talk about, and I think kind of, if we want to call episode 5 kind of a triple hander, kind of a Cane, Monet, Tariq triple hander in a way, episode 6 has a lot of kind of double hander things because something horrible happened to Tariq, and then Monet is stuck with her husband being home, which is really a big shift. So that will kind of be very interesting. I wonder if you guys have thoughts about how Monet is going to react to Lorenzo being home. If y'all remember, Lorenzo has a very specific way of doing things, and he likes to tell people what to do. So we'll see.